Hey everyone! Today we're going to see an incredible fantasy adventure movie called Guardians of Time. Without wasting any time, let's jump straight into it. And remember, if you like fantasy films like this one, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon. Let's go. The movie starts with young Thea seeing a table, gazing at something. She suddenly bolts away, but a man steps in to stop her. Thea often has these strange dreams where she's in the forest, dressed in war attire, fighting alongside her sister and cousins. She's armed with a bow and arrow. Just as the tension rises, she wakes up with a start. Her sister, Ziva, asks her about the dream, and they talk for a while before both drifting back to sleep. The next morning, Ziva wakes up and is excited to find out that their grandfather has arrived. She rushes over to greet him with a big hug. Meanwhile, Thea is outside, practicing with her bow and arrow, perfecting her aim. Her mom pops in to let her know that Grandpa's at the house. The family gathers for breakfast, and during the meal, Ziva and Grandpa get into a conversation about the strange disappearances of ships and planes in the Bermuda Triangle. Meanwhile, they spotted a car parked outside and rushed over to greet their cousin's family, Ruby, Daisy, and their mom. The girls shared big, happy hugs, and soon, the four of them were setting up a bow and arrow game, laughing as they aimed for the target. After a while, Thea announced, "All right, next up is a race." But Ziva, frustrated by her ongoing inferiority complex, snapped. She felt too short to win and couldn't shake the thought that she didn't stand a chance. In a burst of anger, she yelled at them and stormed off, grappling with her insecurities. As she wandered off to clear her head, she noticed her grandfather's room was slightly open. Her grandfather was extremely strict about no one entering, but something compelled her to peek inside. When she did, she was amazed. The room was filled with all sorts of timepieces, watches, clocks, and gadgets, each more unique than the last. Back outside, Ruby had moved ahead, marking the finish line for the race between Daisy and Thea. But just as they were about to start, Ziva noticed a peculiar clock in the corner of the room. It had 4 pointers, and 2 of them were moving according to Daisy and Thea's positions in the race. Then, one pointer sped up and snapped back. Suddenly, Thea had a vision. Daisy was about to trip on a stone. Thea snapped back to reality just in time, rushing forward to grab Daisy and keep her from falling. Ruby and Daisy stood there wide-eyed. "How did you react so fast?" they asked, both in disbelief. The 3 girls went inside, still talking about what had just happened. Meanwhile, Ziva had picked up an old book from the shelf. As she was flipping through it, she noticed someone approaching. Panicked, she quickly hid behind a curtain. But it was her grandfather. He found her almost immediately and calmly told her to come out. When he saw the book in her hands, his expression softened. "This book is special," he explained. "You can keep it, but you must take care of it." Then he tucked the book and something else into her handbag, giving her a quiet but meaningful look. The family had left for an important errand, and Thea found herself in charge of keeping the peace with the other 3 girls. They were back at it though, starting up the race game again. But Ziva, as usual, was simmering with frustration, her inferiority complex flaring up, and in a huff, she stormed off. Thea, rolling her eyes but understanding, headed to check on her. She opened the door and found Ziva, nose buried deep in the book her grandfather had gifted her. Thea sighed, approaching her with a soft apology, which did the trick in calming Ziva down. Together, they made their way outside where Thea proudly announced to the cousins that the book was from their grandfather. The cousins, however, looked at her like she'd just revealed the family secret. Curiosity piqued. They huddled around the book, flipping through pages filled with strange symbols and odd drawings. As they carefully examined each page, one thing stood out: a blueprint. Thea unfolded it slowly, her eyes widening. It was a map of their house, with one room marked off that none of them had ever even heard of. They were immediately hooked. A secret room in their own home? They had to find it. Off they went, determined to uncover this mystery. When they got back inside, they noticed something. There was a door they'd never seen before right there in their room. Ruby walked up to it, gave a quick glance, and scoffed, "Just a door." But when they opened it, well, it definitely wasn't just a door. Behind it lay a room jam-packed with scientific instruments, and right above them, something even stranger, a power source that looked like a mini planet spinning on the ceiling. As soon as they stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind them. Talk about bad timing. While everyone else freaked out, Thea was drawn to a mirror on the far wall. Her reflection flickered oddly, and she stared in disbelief. Was that a time portal? Nah, it had to be some sort of illusion. Meanwhile, Ruby, never one to back down from a challenge, managed to pry the door open again. But when they peered outside, they weren't met with the familiar backyard. No, what greeted them was a dense forest stretching as far as the eye could see. They slammed the door shut, opened it again, and nope, still a forest. Ziva, who'd had enough of this waiting around, made a decision that shocked everyone. Without hesitation, she stepped into the forest. The rest, after a moment of hesitation, followed her into the unknown. Grandfather returned home and entered his room. As he noticed the pointers on the clock moving, he immediately realized that the girls had embarked on an adventure. Meanwhile, the four girls were searching for a way back home. Ziva discovered a door in the trunk of a tree, and the four of them stood before it. Ziva opened the book she had found earlier and saw the same symbol on the door. Ruby spotted a piece of the symbol nearby. The girls began searching for the remaining pieces, believing they might hold the key to their escape. After a while, they gathered all the broken pieces, and Ziva guided them to reassemble it. Finally, Ziva placed the last piece into the symbol. Suddenly, smoke began to emerge from the symbol, and an alien creature materialized before them. The girls were initially panicked, but the alien seemed just as startled upon seeing them. After a tense moment, everyone calmed down. The alien introduced himself and explained that, according to an ancient prophecy, for humans, the Time Protectors were destined to come and save the forest. Ziva responded, "We're not who you think we are. We're just trying to find our way back home." The alien then told them, "This door leads to anywhere and any time, but to unlock its power, you need the key. It's divided into 3 pieces, hidden in 3 different temples. Only Time Protectors can enter those temples." As the alien explained, the earth began to tremble. A furious animal appeared through a portal on one side, and a tree monster emerged from another. One of the animals charged at the alien and Ziva, but just as it was about to strike, a portal opened, and the 3 of them vanished. On the other side, the tree monster advanced toward the girls, but Daisy froze time, stopping the monster in its tracks. Meanwhile, in Grandfather's room, the 3 pointers on the clock froze, leaving only one moving. Grandfather understood. The girls' adventure had truly begun. Back in the forest, everyone was stunned by Daisy's freezing power, even Daisy herself. As she released her power, time resumed its normal flow, and the girls quickly ran to safety. Back with the alien and Ziva, the animal attacked once more, but Ziva used the book to defend herself, forcing the animal to retreat. However, the alien was injured. Ziva wanted to help him, but the alien reassured her. "There's a friend nearby who can heal my injury," he said calmly. As the girls sprinted through the dense forest, they could feel the ground trembling beneath their feet. The tree monster was hot on their heels, its massive roots crashing through the underbrush. Suddenly, Daisy froze for a second. "A dinosaur?" she gasped. Before anyone could react, the dinosaur charged past them. But just when it seemed like the tree monster had met its match, an arrow whizzed through the air and struck the creature. It screeched in fury, its monstrous form shuddering, and, in a rare retreat, it turned and fled into the depths of the forest. The girls stood there, still catching their breath, when a voice suddenly cut through the silence. A boy, no older than them, he was holding a bow, and his eyes were locked onto the girls. "Never seen the tree monster this angry before," he said, lowering the bow. "Who are you guys?" Thea, always quick on her feet, stepped forward. "My sister's lost," she said urgently. "Can you help us find her?" The boy's face softened for a moment. "Rex, track her down," he sighed. The dinosaur sniffed the air into the forest its powerful legs effortlessly carrying it through the trees. While they waited, Thea quickly explained, "We're looking for a key to get back home. We've learned that it's broken into 3 pieces and hidden in 3 different temples." The boy's eyes lit up with recognition. "Ah, you're the ones from the prophecy," he said, his voice tinged with awe. "The Time Protectors." Daisy, still processing everything, raised an eyebrow. "We don't even know where we are," she replied, her voice unsure. Lucas began explaining the mysterious forest, telling Thea it was cursed by a greedy demon named Kronos. This curse turned the forest into a prison, trapping monsters from different timelines. He also mentioned that his pet dinosaur had arrived in the same way, through the curse. As they continued their journey, Lucas pointed to a set of statues. "Those 4 girls," he said, "are the Time Protectors. They're destined to come and destroy Kronos to save this forest, just like it says in the prophecy from years ago." Thea stared at the statues, her heart racing. The figures looked exactly like them. Meanwhile, Ziva stepped into a strange, dimly lit room, where there was a witch and she healed the alien, carefully tending to his injuries. Lucas continued, recounting an ancient war that had changed everything. "Your grandfather had powers, Thea," he said. "And you girls, you got them too. You just need to find each other." Finally, they arrived at a grand palace. Lucas picked up a small box and taking a small handle, gave it to Thea. When she held it, a wave of energy surged through her and the handle transformed in her hands. The handle turned into a sleek, glowing bow. At the same moment, her clothes shifted into a warrior's outfit, strong and ready for battle. Thea became even more beautiful than before, her new outfit accentuating her strength and grace. Lucas asked, "Who's coming?" Both the cousins raised their hands in unison. Meanwhile, the dinosaur sniffed the air, catching Ziva's scent, and began moving forward. The witch, noticing Ziva's distant expression, asked, "Why do you seem so sad?" Ziva sighed and replied, "My sister will be looking for me, and she worries too much." The witch nodded knowingly and showed Ziva a glowing, magical globe. "Whatever you think will appear in this," she explained. Ziva stared at the globe, and as she thought about the Bermuda Triangle, the globe lit up. It displayed all the flights and ships that had gone missing over the years, each one lost somewhere in the forest. Then she thought of her sister. The globe shifted, showing her sister and the others, smiling and happy. Ziva's heart hardened. She felt anger rising, assuming they'd forgotten about her. Sensing her frustration, the alien murmured, "If your power awakens, it'll be far stronger than theirs." Ziva, a spark of defiance in her eyes, asked, "How can I get it?" The alien smiled. "In 3 temples, there are 3 crystals. Only Time Protectors can enter." He then led Ziva to one of the temples, using his power to light up a glowing path, clearing the way for her. "But you must enter alone," he warned. Ziva stepped forward, entering a vast, desert-like landscape. She found the temple. Inside, she spotted a box, gleaming under the temple's dim light. She quickly flipped open her grandfather's old book and found the description of the crystal inside that box. As Ziva neared the box, the ground beneath her shook, and the statues surrounding her suddenly cracked and crumbled, falling to the floor. Instinctively, she froze. When she did, the statues stopped in midair. As she slowly stepped backward, the pieces of the statues began to piece themselves together. It dawned on her. She had the ability to move time forward and backward. With this realization, she stepped backward around the box. As she did, the rust on the box vanished, and it began to gleam as if brand new. With the key in her hand, she opened the box and claimed the crystal. Meanwhile, Lucas led the 3 girls toward another temple, but to his frustration, he couldn't enter. So, the 3 of them proceeded alone. As they crossed an old, rickety bridge, Ruby suddenly froze, her eyes distant. She had visions, flashes of memories from her childhood, clear as day, down to the exact time and date. It all clicked. Daisy, too, had a similar experience before freezing time. They realized something crucial. Daisy had the power to control the present. while Ruby had the power to control the past. Using Ruby's ability, they soon discovered a hidden crystal inside the temple. That night, Lucas set up camp and prepared a tent for them to stay in. But the weather turned ominous. Dark clouds swirled above them, and lightning cracked through the sky. Thea turned to Lucas, alarmed. "What's going on?" Lucas sighed, gazing at the sky. "That's a dragon, one of Kronos' servants. It's trapped in those clouds. The three crystals are kept separate in the temple, but whenever one of them leaves, the dragon is set free." Back at the witch's place, the dark cloud hovered overhead. Inside, the witch proudly showed Ziva the crystal she had taken from the temple. The alien stood nearby, quietly telling Ziva he would go find her sisters and bring them back. After he left, the witch placed the glowing crystal into Ziva's hand. The moment it touched her skin, her powers surged, but they were too much for her to handle, and she began to feel weak. When she looked around again, the witch was gone. Then the air turned cold. A shadow loomed from the darkness, and a massive form of a dragon appeared. Ziva's heart raced with fear, and in that moment, her full power exploded, unleashing a force she couldn't control. Lucas said about the dragon before. The twist is that the dragon was the witch herself. The next morning, when they woke up, the alien returned, looking as calm as ever. Thea breathed a sigh of relief and immediately asked about her sister. He reassured her that Ziva was safe and that he would guide them to her. But what Thea didn't know was that the alien had been sent by the witch to retrieve the crystal from them. They had communicated through the magical globe. Meanwhile, Ziva arrived at the witch's lair, still feeling the aftershocks of the power she had unleashed. The witch, as calm as ever, informed Ziva that Lucas and her sisters were in grave danger. They had gone after the third crystal, but Ziva needed to take it first. Ziva hesitated, her voice trembling. "But I'm just a little girl. How can I do this?" The witch with her gaze intense. "Your sisters only have one power each, control over time in the past, present, and future. But you, Ziva, you have them all. Now use your power." With those words, Ziva takes the crystal in her hands, closed her eyes, focused, and felt a strange energy surging through her. She transformed, her body aging rapidly. On the other end, Lucas and the girls continued their journey to the third temple. The air was thick with anticipation, and Thea broke the silence with a question. "How did you defeat Kronos last time?" Lucas slowed his pace and looked at her. "Your grandfather used his power to imprison Kronos in a stone, but to ensure Kronos could never return, he broke that stone into 4 pieces. As long as those pieces remain apart, Kronos cannot escape." Thea was stunned by this revelation. The girls exchanged worried glances, and it hit them. They had all been blind to the truth. The alien was Kronos. They immediately told Lucas what they'd figured out, but Lucas, ever the strategist, motioned for them to keep quiet. "Pretend you don't know who he really is," he instructed. They arrived at the third temple, the tension rising with every step. But before they could even take it all in, Ziva emerged from the temple. At first, they couldn't believe their eyes. She was different, older, more powerful, and filled with a sense of superiority. "You people think I'm weak," Ziva sneered, her voice cold. "But I've taken 2 crystals, while you've only got 1. I'm strongest now." It was then they realized the girl standing before them was the little sister they had known. It was Ziva, transformed, consumed by the power she'd absorbed. The alien, Kronos, stepped forward, taking the crystal from Ziva's hands. Ziva looked at Thea, her expression hardened. "Give me the crystal," she demanded. Thea's response was firm, her grip tightening around the crystal. "No!" Enraged, the alien, watching with twisted delight, and used his magical powers summoned a massive stone creature from the ground. The monster towered over them, its rocky body crackling with energy. As the battle erupted, a stone hurled through the air and struck Daisy, but before anyone could react, Ziva stepped forward, her powers crackling. In a surge of force, she attacked the stone monster, her energy pulsing through the air, breaking the creature into pieces. The ground trembled beneath their feet. The alien, still calm, turned to the girls. "Hand over the remaining crystal," he demanded. Lucas raised his hands, and with a flick of his wrist, the illusion was shattered. In an instant, the truth was revealed. Alien was the Kronos. The alien, the villain they had been chasing all along, had been with them from the start. Ziva stared at him, shock and disbelief. "I trusted you," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I believed in you, but you betrayed me." Her words hung in the air like a curse. In that instant, Ziva's anger reached its peak. The entire mountain seemed to tremble in response. Rocks and debris began to fall around them as her power surged uncontrollably. Thea urgently called out to Ziva, "Stop! You have to control it." But Ziva's eyes were wild, and she responded, her voice trembling, I can't control it anymore." With determination, Thea focused on the crystal in her hand. Using its power, she slowly inched closer to Ziva, until she was close enough to gently place her hand on her sister's shoulder. Slowly, Ziva's energy began to calm, her anger subsiding just enough for her to regain control, and she became to her original age. But before they could catch their breath, a deep roar echoed from afar. The ground trembled as they turned to see the dragon, Kronos beast, descending from the sky, its massive form emerging from the swirling clouds. The three crystals had left the temple, and now the dragon was free. Ziva tried to use her power to attack, but the dragon's roar was deafening, and her powers failed to control the beast. The dragon let out another mighty roar, shaking the very air around them. In that moment, a new energy surged through them. The girls combined their crystal powers, and in a flash, they time-traveled back to the moment when the stone monster was being formed. They saw, as if it were happening right in front of them again, the stone being thrown at Daisy. This time, they understood it was Ruby from another timeline who had thrown the stone. Ziva's frustration and anger flared once again, but this time, the girls in the second timeline acted quickly, using their crystal powers to form a protective shield around everyone. The rocks from the stone monster's creation rained down, but they were shielded from the devastation. In the midst of this chaos, an arrow shot forward, aimed straight at him. He caught it with ease, an eerie smile crossing his face. Without missing a beat, the girls time-traveled once more, this time entering the third timeline. Thea had shot the very arrow Kronos had caught, and now, three versions of the girl stood in the same place. Kronos scoffed, his voice dripping with confidence. "You think your tricks can win against me?" Kronos, sensing her confusion, explained, "I possess the future crystal. That's why I can see what's to come and escape your little schemes. That's what I've been after all along, to destroy them." With a malicious grin, Kronos shattered the future crystal into pieces, the fragments scattering across the ground. The girls were stunned, but in that moment, Daisy's powers surged. She froze the present, stopping time for everyone but the girls. Confusion filled the air as they wondered how they could defeat Kronos now, with the future crystal destroyed. But Ziva wasn't ready to give up. Gathering her power, she focused on the broken pieces of the crystal. In a burst of energy, she reassembled them, restoring the future crystal to its original form. She handed it to Thea, her sister's eyes filled with both awe and gratitude. Thea closed her eyes, tapping in her power. She time-traveled back to the first timeline, where she had seen something important. She found herself standing in her grandfather's room, where a plate lay on a table. She knew it now. The plate was the key to uniting the crystals. As she reached out to take, Kronos appeared, searching for the plate. But when he saw Thea's grandfather approaching, he quickly fled. Her grandfather, realizing Thea had come from the future, said, I gave the plate to your sister. It's in her bag." Thea quickly returned to the present and, in a rush, told her sister, "The plate's in your bag." Just then, the dragon descended upon them, its eyes glowing with fury. But Lucas' pet, Dinosaur, leaped into action, charging at the dragon, causing a massive distraction. In the chaos, the girls placed the three crystals onto the plate. The moment they did, an enormous surge of energy erupted. A blinding light engulfed the area, and the evil power of Kronos shattered. And also the dragon. With the battle over, the girls turned to Lucas and his dinosaur. "Thank you," they said in unison, grateful for the help they received. Using the restored crystal, the girls activated a portal, and together they returned home. When they landed back in their world, they were greeted by their grandfather, who wrapped them and gives a warm hug. "You did it," he said with pride in his voice. "You saved the future. I'm so proud of you." And with that, the adventure came to an end. Hope you enjoyed it. So what's your take on superpowers? Personally, I think real-life superpowers come in the form of talent and skill. Some folks are born with them. Others grind day and night to master them. And that's just as powerful. What do you think? Drop your thoughts or any cool suggestions in the comments below. I'd love it. Thanks for watching. And until next time, keep building the life you love. Take care.